Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are safe and doing good today. I am Ritika Radhe, host for today's webinar. The topic of the webinar is EEG, the torch barrier for organizational process development. Would first likely to introduce my company QNX. QNX is a management consultancy firm having experience of more than 25 years with 350 plus satisfied clients present in 19 more countries. QNX is a CMI Institute partner organization with 250 plus CMI appraisals. Also, in 2016, we were among the top 10 partners of CMI Institute USA for the appraisals. Now, I'm glad to introduce your presenter, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Mr. Chandrasekhar is the best industry expert with more than 24 years of experience and also CMI certified lead advisor for development. Also, I would request you all to write your queries in the comment box. We shall take them up in the question and answer session at the end of today's webinar. Now,
Riddhi, you are done?
yes, sir.
Okay. So your audio was a bit having some noise or the disturbance. So let me know at my end, is it clear to you?
Yes, it's quite clear from my end now.
Okay, sounds good. So let me know if you are able to see the screen.
Yeah, I'm able to see the screen as well.
I think others are also are able to see the screen.
Yeah, even Deepa is able to see the screen.
Okay, fine. So
Yeah,
you want
see the screen. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you want me to start now or you want me to wait for a minute?
So start now. 3 o'clock is the time. We can start.
Okay. Fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Chandrasekhar over here. So I'm basically operating from Bangalore location. So I belong to QNX Infotech Limited, Mumbai. So I'm welcoming you all formally for this presentation. So I'll get started now. So today's my topic is going to be PEG. So now this is called as a process excellence group here. So a bit of a one-liner description for this over here. So it is a transformational group for process improvement programs, or in other words, it is also called as torch bearers for the organizational growth. We would see that one, how these people can show or be as a leader or show the torch for the entire organization from the process development perspective. So myself, Chandrasekhar. So that's my name where I kept here. I'm moving on here. So what is PEG? So as I told you, this PEG stands for Process Excellence Group. Now, in some companies, they call that as a ACPG, Software Engineer Process Group. In some company, they call it as PEG, Process Engineering Group. In some countries and in some projects, they call that as EPG, like Engineering Process Group. So the names they customize and they try to call that one, but all means one and the same year. So which means that they are actually the transformational group. It is an organizational focal point for continual process improvement activity. So for any organization where they plan to go for the process improvement activity, this group holds the key. They are the center point or they are the focal point over here. So now, why do you require this PEG? Okay, to initiate and drive process improvement programs and process innovation programs for the projects and support groups and enable them to implement within their areas. Now, process improvement programs and process innovation programs. Of course, there are a slight difference between both these programs over here. So they would initiate and they would drive this kind of programs for the projects and the support groups for them to implement within their work area. To institutionalize the processes in a systematic and a scientific approach. Now there is a way, there is a method for you to implement these kind of processes. So first of all, it is been some of the industry they have tested and proved, so it is coming in the form of the best practices state. Now some of the companies, they have experimented that. Now taking all these things here, and we are trying to kind of mirror a model here and trying to tune to our nativity of the organization and then put it into our organization. So that's why we call that as little bit, it is in a systematic and a scientific approach here. Now the word institution means that it goes to the last member of the organization within that group. To define the quality management system, that is guidelines, checklist, policies, procedure, templates, etc. Even this activity, for this activity to be done here, we require this PEG. And also to keep improvising constantly. To facilitate the smooth transition from person-oriented to process-oriented. Now, remember that there are a lot of companies where they keep doing it on their individual basis here. Now, when you want to bring in some kind of process and practice into place here is that you need to develop a system and slowly you move them towards the process-oriented approach here. So these groups play a very important role. So that is why this PEG is required. To build awareness on the process improvement programs, to make the final decision from the process perspective. So these are some of the responsibilities, these are some of the areas it is required, so that why PEG is required in any organization to be done. Now, let's talk something about this structure of it there. Now, based on our experience, based on the industries which we have seen across the globe here, so this is one structure that which is probably been well used, or probably it has been more popularly used across the industries here. So there is a PEG head here, and then there are PEG members here. The PEG members, they represent from different organs of the company, meaning different functionaries or the different departments. Like for example, it is a representative from delivery or the services. Now, when I say delivery, it can come into the software industries. When I say service, it goes for the service industries there. And the representative from the audit team, so the so-called as the internal audit team in an organization. Then representative from the configuration management team there, who typically does this version control activity. Representative from the finance or the accounts team here, because they are the one who can probably give us the budget, money. And then there can be representative from the knowledge center, where typically we call them as the training. So these are some of the people where they can come together, they can form, they can be as part of the PEG members, and which will be headed by one single person termed as PEG head. So this is a pretty simple structure, but a very powerful structure, because we have seen in the organization when it has a combination of all these various departments and various functions put together and they form this, it can become a very powerful tool to run through this PEG. So now some of the qualification or the criteria who can fit into this PEG group are the knowledge on the quality framework and the standards. Now, any person who is going to be either the member or the head here, so will require to have some sound knowledge on this quality framework, which is available in our industry, and the standards. Standards, you know that there are many standards, even these ISO standards like ISO 9001, 27001, ISMS, then 20001. So such kind of standards are there. So you should have a good knowledge on this. Knowledge on the CMMI models, whether it's a development or services. So is definitely an added advantage. So knowledge on the process improvement models and its implementation. Now there is one model which I'm going to show later. But of course, the people who are going to be in the PEG group should definitely have a knowledge about various process models that are available in the market and its implementation. And he should be a subject matter expert in relevant fields such as software development lifecycle models or the service lifecycle models. So they have to be an expert in over here. So this fits the hard skills over here. Now, some of the soft skills, let us try to understand. You should be a good team player. Should be self-motivated and has the ability to motivate others. This is the most important aspect over here, because sometimes if you lack the motivation for yourself, you may not be able to really do the justice for the PEG group. So that's why you should be self-motivated and you should have an ability to motivate others. Should be enthusiastic and passion driven. Now the word passion should come over here, because we have seen in the industry, a lot of people, they can do this technical work here, meaning your coding, testing, or your field work here. But when it comes to the process side of doing that one, it requires a different skill set and a different set of mind frame over here. And you should be driven self here, where you can exhibit your passion in terms of doing even when the things are down over here. So that's where we have written that passion driven. Should possess excellent communication and interpersonal skills. Now this interpersonal skills is what something that it is really required, because you go and meet n number of people and different hierarchies of the people here. So you should be able to establish a good rapport and good connectivity with all these people over here. So that's why this interpersonal skills is also one of the important criteria over here. Now, coming to a little bit on the experience over here. So the PEG Ed should have at least 10 years of experience in relevant field or the domain. Now, when I say relevant field or domain, let's say, for example, if he wants to add this on the software industries day. So the relevant field will become the software part of it. Now, when you come to the services, it is obviously the service lifecycle part of it here. So either one of it, the PEG person who's going to head this year, so we strongly recommend that you should have at least 10 years of experience with what we have seen most of the organization where they are running these PEG groups. Now the PEG members, the experience in relevant field or domain can vary in between 5 to 10 years. Now let us try to see some of the responsibilities over here. Now to derive the organizational goals based on the vision and mission. Now remember that the top management of any organization will try to come up with the vision and mission and core values, purpose of for any organization. Now after that you will have to derive the goal. Now this PEG also can play a good role, and they can take up the responsibility of coming up with the organizational goals. To establish the quality goals, it can be both quantitative as well as the qualitative, and provide framework and structure for achieving the same. So once you're done with your organizational goals, the next responsibility is to define the quality goals. So it can be both from your quantitative perspective as well as from qualitative perspective. And you have to come up with a framework which will well suit to your organization. So this is also the responsibility of the PEG. To define the quality management system, which comprises of guidelines, checklist, policies, procedure, template, etc., and to keep improvising it constantly. So this is also a big responsibility for the PEG. Now, most of the times we see that when the PEG groups defines and then they go idle for a long period of time. So that is why that word called keep improvising it, meaning you keep on modifying that one at a periodic interval. Even that is also a responsibility of the PEG. To plan and monitor the process improvement activities. To plan and monitor the process improvement activities. Now, it's not only that you come up with an exhaustive plan of how you want to do these improvement activities within your organization, but you have to also ensure that take up the onus of monitoring that how they are going to implement within their project groups and support groups to collect and evaluate the process improvement suggestions, recommendation, lessons learned, and best practices. Now, most of the times, this is one of the responsibility which has been slipped, as what we have seen in the different organization. Meaning, once you develop your QMS and then let the projects to develop, implement that, over a period of time, you will have to keep on collecting what is that I can improve myself, or where is that the gap lies when it comes to the implementation part of it there. So you have to constantly keep on collecting this information from the project groups and support groups, and then you have to evaluate them so that what best it can be incorporated back to the QMS. And this is also a key responsibility of the PEG. Continuing it, to constantly study external market and keep updated on latest and relevant process information. Now, most of the times we try to come up with this, but again, we'll not be knowing that one, whether this is relevant to the market trend which is catching up or not. So you will have to ensure that one, you study this market, how it is prevailing here, and then ensure that the latest information you are capturing, and so that you can implement within your own organization. So this is also the responsibility of the PEG. To define, modify, and guide various teams on process tailoring guidelines. Now, this is one thing that easily it will slip out from the PEG's responsibility. Now, after defining your quality management system, wherein you even write your tailoring guideline. Tailoring is nothing but where you take the deviation from the standard processes. So this is one of the things where consciously the PEG team needs to keep on constantly guiding with the project teams and support groups, so that they know that when to take the deviation and when not to take the deviation, and for what to take the deviation and for what not to take the deviation. So that is why after defining and modifying it, you also need to guide various teams in doing this. So to maintain organizations' measurement repository and process asset libraries by collecting related metrics and assets from the various teams. Now, after defining your quality management system, and when it goes to implementation, wherein they start filling up all this unfilled template, so the people will start filling up from their projects. Now, it is the responsibility of this PEG to ensure that they collect all this filled information coming from various projects. Now, these various, look out in the software industry where they use different metrics for different projects there. So you have to collect all this metrics data, store it in a kind of a repository where we are calling that as a measurement repository. And also you need to collect all the assets there. Now, assets are nothing but what the projects are using it, be it your planning documents such as your project plan, your estimation doc, or your configuration management plan, or your measurement plan. So starting from this planning document, estimation documents, so risk library, issue log. So any of these things where you find that it is the asset for a project, you pick up that and then start storing it in the centralized process asset library. So this activity is also a big responsibility of the PEG. Otherwise, over a period of time, when the external assessment comes here, so you will see that when your repository will be thin and you will not have collected, and it will not would have been improvised it at all. So it is very important that this responsibility is exhibited by the PEG group to collect at a periodic interval all the assets coming from the projects and support groups. To evaluate new tools, techniques, technologies, and methods, and then recommend best suited to the organization. Now, this is also something that the PEG team needs to do this one. That is, whether you want to bring in any kind of tools that you want to set up your quality management system or for something else there, or any kind of methodologies. Methodologies can even be your lifecycle model, different methodologies of picking up there. You can evaluate that what can be fit into it, whether it's a waterfall or agile or spiral or etc. And if you want to bring in any kind of technologies also in today's world, even now we are seeing that Internet of Things, and even your mobile apps is getting latest on this year. So you will have to study all these things and evaluate it, and you want to see that one, if it suits to your organization, you will recommend that and then get it into your quality management system. so that the project teams becomes more efficient and effective when they start implementing that. Thus, it saves the time, effort, and money for the projects and the support groups. This is also a very important responsibility of the PEG. I want to show an example how a process improvement life cycle will look like. So you can see that the very first step, it is given in the pink color. So where you define your quality goals or your objectives. And then after that, you are going to assess the current practices. Okay, one of the method you can use over here is that it's called as a SWOT here: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So you can use this method to evaluate, to assess your current practices. Now, what is that you are going to do that one? You are going to see that one as it is, what is that the process or the practices that is being practiced, and what is the expected one. So you will have to analyze these gaps here and then come up with a kind of a gap analysis report or a gap statement here, so that what can be done in the next step here. And then you have to come up with a proposal or a solution where you can reduce the gaps, meaning you are going to bridge the gap between the as in process and then the expected process. So you're going to bridge that gap. So you have to come up with a solution for this year, propose that. Then come up with a defined action plan. Define the action plan, meaning you have to come up with the action plan so as the steps how you are going to integrate this new set of the processes into the existing process of your. Now you may throw away your existing processes and then completely come up with a new process, or you may modify that, or you may have to tweak it some bit of it. So that is something that you will have to come up with the action plan very clearly, what you are supposed to do that one, along with the timelines also. Then implement this action plan here, meaning implement these proposed changes, these processes into the system, which means that your teams are going to implement that here, and start collecting your feedback via suggestions or recommendation or lessons learned or best practice through whatever forms of it there. You start collecting them with them here, and then sit down and then evaluate it. What is good, what can be taken, what can be improvised, what can be thrown away, what can be modified, etc. Come up with the exactly how you want to do it, and then modify the next version of it. Then put it back to your quality management system and then release this. So this is the cycle of it there where you keep doing your process improvement activity. So this is one such example here where I can show you, or where it is being a little bit popularly used and then adopted by various organizations. Now, a little bit, let me talk about this cost benefit analysis. So in an organization wherein there are 100+ professionals working on software projects or on a service projects. Okay, when I say software projects, it's related to the software industry, service project relates to service industry. The recommended budget for PEG group is normally in between 3 to 5% of total software development department's budget or service delivery department budget. In short, if your software unit budget is around 50 lakhs, if 5% of it has to be marked for the PEG group, which means that 2.5 lakhs there. So this is again coming from with our experience, wherein we have seen numerous of organizations where we have consulted and where we have done the appraisal. So this looks to be the best fit for you here. Most of the times you will see that when the budget part for PEG will be fitted. So they take it either in a lighter manner, or they think that one, okay, it can be still driven there. But take it from me, without marking any kind of the budget here, you will not be able to successfully transform any organization through this PEG group here. So you have to have the budget, just like how the projects will have the budget to execute. Even this PEG group also needs to have the budget for them to plan and execute. Next, the PEG team size should be in the ratio of 1:30. In short, for every 30 members, you should have one PEG member. So this is where I was trying to say that when it doesn't meaning there is no standard formula that's saying that, okay, this PG team should have 5 member, 10 member, 15 member, or 2 member. As a coach, there is nothing of that sort. So you take this thumb rule ratio that for every 30 members, you should have 1 PG member. So this is some of the things which I can talk about cost and benefits. Coming to the benefit parts here, yes, enhanced predictability in the project or in the service budget. Meaning whenever you try to budget any of your project, so when you start following your process and start practicing that, so over a period of time, you will definitely see that you will become more mature and then try to give the prediction as close as possible, thus increasing the profitability in the projects or in the services. This is one of the important one, as because every top management will finally look out from the commercial numbers perspective. So when you are able to show some really good profitability, which means that you also gain that incentive. Risk assessment at early stage, which leads to reduction in cost. Yes, at the initial stage itself only, you will start looking out what are the risks involved in these projects or in the services. So then once you mark this risk, then you will try to mitigate that. So this is where you will try to reduce the cost here rather than being as a corrective, taking a corrective action at a later point of time. Lesser defects, thus lessening cost of testing. Now, in a typical software industry, I can give an example. In typical software industry, the testers will be involved at the right period of time at different phases of the life cycle. Let's say, for example, at the initial and the requirement gathering, because they will sit down and then they will, after collecting this requirement, they will start doing this test plan and writing the test scenarios and then test cases there. And then they come at the final stage, and then once the code is handed over to them, they will start testing that. Now, if these people are involved at the right time, at right phases for the right kind of activity, so then they will have a complete understanding of what kind of testing has to be done, how it has to be done, and what kind of test scenario, test cases can be written over here. Which means that effective testing can take place here. If not, then you will have to do all trial and error, and then you come at the end of it there, and then you try to do, and you will find the testers found the bugs here, and then need to go back to the coder, they will fix that, and then the rework cycle starts happening here. So that's where if you try to put these practices and process into place in a right alignment here, so the people get involved at the right point of time, so thereby on the testing part, you can really reduce the cost on it there. So lesser defects, lesser cost of the testing. Overall increase in the quality of the products and services. Yes, overall, when you see that when you complete your project, at the end of it there, so you will see, turn back and then see that what was the budget it was given there and how well I have defined my process and then put the practices into place. If you have followed that thoroughly and religiously, yes, you are going to see that quality in terms of the deliverables. Enhance visibility to various stakeholders. Enhance visibility to various stakeholders. One moment, there is one person. Okay. Now, once this process and these practices are put into place here, you know that in the project, so you will keep on updating your higher ups with the kind of status report here. The same thing, this PG team also will start reporting with the right content to the right kind of stakeholders at periodic intervals here. So when the people get the visibility on what's going on in the project or what's going on in the organization, they'll be far more comfortable, they will be far more relaxed, and it becomes easier for them to monitor and then keep a check on that. So that's what higher visibility will come into picture over here. Of course, more discipline in project planning and execution. Yes, with this practice, with this process put into place here, definitely you can see a lot more discipline coming over here. This is also from our experience, what we have seen over a period of time. Now, some code of conduct over here. That means how PG needs to conduct. You plan and execute the PEG meeting consistently and constantly. Now, most of the times, normally PEG does one time or two times or three times, and they just sit idle for over a period of time. Now, that should not happen. You have to have a plan that when you are going to conduct, whether you want to do it on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis or on a biannual basis, you define that frequency and stick to that. Invite all the relevant stakeholders and ensure their availability. Now, this is also a key factor here. Sometimes if you want to involve your delivery head or your CEO or MD or a vice president or any other people where you think that they can give good contribution and then give value addition point, please invite them and ensure that they are available for these meetings over here. Provide opportunity of the platform for stakeholders to freely express their opinions, suggestions, recommendations, and listen to them and record it. Now, most of the times it will happen that in the meeting, some of the people will be passive, some of the people will be active. But what the moderator has to do over here is that he has to set a tone here, he has to set a pitch here over here to see that when everyone talks freely and then they start throwing up their suggestions and recommendations, whatever they feel that it is good for them. And listen to them patiently and then record that. Because after that, you can sit down and then find out what is the value addition point or what is that extract that you can do with all the inputs that is given in the meeting. Moderate the meeting by following a defined agenda. Now, this is typically how you run your project team meetings here. So please have a definite agenda of what you want to discuss it there and stick to that. Focus on issues and allow brainstorming with keeping time limit. Now, you should focus on your problem statements or on the issues, what you want to do, and allow brainstorming to take place, but keep a tab on the time limit because you cannot exceed the more time there because you may miss out to really do a kind of discussion on other important agenda items. So follow the issues and allow brainstorming, but keeping the time limit. Emphasize on what part and how part, meaning what you want to discuss, what you want to come up with that, and then how you want to do that one. At least try to come up with a high level strategy that how you are going to come up with a plan or how you want to execute a given activity over here. So you have to emphasize on both the aspects over here. Leverage on valid points that adds value, like I said earlier. So make the people to talk there and then leverage those points which are given out by different stakeholders and then try to add the value for that. Encourage and ensure that all stakeholders participate actively. Again, going back to the same point, ensure that they participate actively. Collect, evaluate, and carry forward valid points to the next meeting with action items defined for project. This is typically how you do in your project there. You run a weekly meeting, you collect it, you write down the action items with the deadline for it there. Now next meeting you come and then you read out all the pending action item and then you go about it there. Same concept you adapt over here and then try to do that one. Meaning in the PEG also needs to do that in the same manner. Now, most important and very interesting part here is how this PEG can transform the organization. Okay, let's try to see this. So, should we focus on people, process, or tools? So, what is that we need to focus? Is it the people, or the process, or the tools? So this is the question mark which will be lying because all these three are important important organs of a PEG group or for an organization. Now, what should we focus about? Now, a lot of people will be in dilemma over here. So let me give with this kind of a small flow diagram over here. Okay, there is a process, there is a people, there is a tool here, but process drives the people and tools. Meaning, you can see that the people are not driving the process or the tools are not going to drive the process. This process, what you are writing it, will drive the people and tools. Now, the tools can be any of your tools over here. It could be even the infrastructure tools also over here. Now, like I said, these three are the important organs for any organization. So once you have a well-established process in place here, that keeps driving the people and tools. Of course, to maintain this process here, you need the people and you need the tool. But the process is a driver over here. Let there not be any confusion about this. Okay, now these are some of the points that I would like to talk, wherein I have jotted out with all my experiences and my colleagues' experience also here. The PEG should accept the fact that no one size fits to all the organization. Meaning to say that there is no thumb rule says that one, okay, my PEG team should be 1 member or 2 member or 10 member or 50 member. No, it doesn't. No, most of the organization go wrong here in terms of telling that one, saying that, okay, I am okay with only 2 people for my organization, irrespective of the team size, what you are having it. No. Keep a formula into place here and then see that what is the number that best fit to the organization and then move about it. When I say group, it is nothing but PEG. So group should identify and involve relevant stakeholders for the right kind of activities. Now, this is also a kind of very tricky one. If at all this PEG wants to really transform the activities within an organization. Now, if you want approval or if you want someone to say that one, somebody to give the approval, now you have to reach out to your CEO or your MD. But what you have to do? You have to involve him to get the approval. Do that. Now you want to collect some suggestions or recommendation from the project team here. Go to your staff members there. So you should be knowing that one, whom you should go and approach and for what kind of activity. So this is a very key aspect over here. Group should research and come up with the right kind of process model which suits to the nativity of the organization. Now this group, when I say this group, again, it's a PEG, should research and come up with the right kind of process model. Now there are various process model that is available in the market. I showed you one example also. Now you will have to research and then see that one, what is that best it suits to your nativity of the organization. Bring in and then put into your organization. The next, group should make constant and consistent efforts. I'm using both the words here, constant and consistent efforts in building the awareness, enable them to transform and align them with organizational objectives. Now, which means to say that I've seen many of the PEG groups where they build, probably they run 1 or 2 times the awareness program and then they become idle here. No, that is not. That is where I use the word called constant and consistent efforts, which means that it has to be periodically, you have to keep on building this. Then only you can see the real transformation taking place. Else you might not be able to really see that one. Constantly see that you build this awareness program, enable them, meaning you also go along with them and take them along so that you transform from them from people-oriented to process-oriented and align them towards the organizational objectives which you have defined it. Right? The next point is group should encourage and motivate staff to share process suggestions or recommendations consistently or periodic interval. Again, this is also a key aspect where you want to do the transformation. You have to take the staff members into consideration. Now, most of the PEG team will probably do it very independently, or they will have very less interaction with the project teams there, especially when it comes to taking of the suggestion. They think that one, okay, we are the masters in this subject. What is that these people are going to throw as their suggestion? No, you will have to probably make them aware that once you give your suggestions, valuable suggestions and recommendation, it will definitely add the value into the system. So that kind of confidence you have to give to them, encourage them, and then start giving them. You can do that at a 3-month cycle or 6-month cycle or the project end of it, whatever frequency you want to do that. But you have to ensure that there is a consistent of it. Otherwise, even your QMS system will be a little bit outdated in terms of looking at the current trend. Moving on, group should emphasize on process-oriented approach each time and every time. Meaning to say that you have to build a culture, of course. You have to build a culture to see that every time whenever we are doing any activity, it has to be through the process-oriented. So nothing called people like in most of the organization, they see that one, okay, I have approved it. So orally they say that one and then they go about it. Okay, I've given you the suggestion there. Please take it up and then do that. Or sometimes it happens that, okay, what is this happening here? Okay, so let me compose this. Okay, so most of the times it happens that a lot of people, they throw these suggestions orally and then leave it out there. No, don't let that happen. So if at all they want to do that one, let them give that in some part of the template which you have built in, or you can try to put it in a template and then show to them and then get it to your system. So each time and every time when you want to do that one, practice that. Let it become as a habit in an organization and let it ingrain into your blood here. So then only you can see a kind of a transformation. Else it will only be certain set of the people doing and certain set of the people not doing it up. It will discourage a lot many people, demotivate a lot of people, and then you will see that this PEG will not be successful in terms of bringing out the transformation. Group should be highly innovative, study the market trends, and adopt the industry level best practices. Now, there are a lot of best practices which are having it, which it is available also. So you will have to be creative in terms of thinking, what is that the best I can get in terms of the best practices it is happening around the world here. So bring that one and see that one, how it can be adapted to your organization and then do that one. For example, risk management. So you will build a template and you will see that one, okay, I also need to bring in some kind of a column which will address the risk strategy. Now, most of the people think that one, why the strategy is required. Now, if you see that one, the strategy is as a direct link towards the mitigation plan, what you want to bring in. So if you try to have that column here, then once you synchronize your strategy and your mitigation plan here, it becomes a lot more effective in putting up this mitigation plan. So it's one of the kind of a good practices that you can bring in here. Likewise, you can find out how much, what are these best practices that are available. Bring in and tune to your nativity and then put that. So you have to keep on studying this market trends over here. Group should overcome the resistance, if any, with consensus approach along with assertive statement. Now, for any organization, when they are moving, when they want to bring in ISO or CMMI or any other process improvement activities here, they will definitely face the resistance. Even when I did in 2010, when I wanted to bring my 210 size company here, even I faced the resistance there. There is no doubt about that, and accept that fact that there is going to be a resistance. So you should be able to overcome this resistance with consensus approach. When I say consensus approach, it's a win-win situation to both the parties, meaning the PEG as well as the project team here. You have to bring with them. You have to win the goodwill of those people. You have to win their confidence and then take along with you. Then only you will be able to successfully transform the organization. Of course, with assertive statement, which means that you are not going to deviate with any of the objective goals there. You are assertive in terms of getting this objective fulfilled. The lastly is the group should set and lead by example in following self and making others to follow the process. Well, this is easier than said, probably. This is one thing that sometimes PEG members only will forget to follow for themselves, which I have come across in many of the organization, and they cannot lead by the example. This happens because there is a misalignment in the PEG member getting into that role here. So that is where we are telling that one, the criteria and the qualification, who has to be there and what kind of knowledge and what kind of skills he needs to be there. Now, if he is aware of that one, then definitely he can lead by an example. He can do for himself and he can also take the team, meaning the project team or the support group teams along with him, telling them that you also follow the process along with me. So this is all what I wanted to share over here. So I will open up my window for question and answers. You can key in whatever the questions you are having it. I will try my best to answer it.
This is Varna Subramaniam from Vision Infotech. Basically, special care or special steps we have to take when we go for both models like development and SOC. Okay, and there is one question. Another is, okay, can you just give us some gist of journey from 3 to 5? These are two questions, okay?
Okay, the first question, I could not get that one. Your voice was, what do you call, was having a noise here. So I could not get that.
Oh, okay. Basically, multimodal assessment, okay? Both the development and service.
Okay, it is a multimodal assessment.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Okay, so what is your question here?
So the precautions, okay, there will be some common processes, right? So the precautions to be taken, and also when we are in level 3, then okay, journey towards level 5. What are the guidelines you can give?
Okay, I'm so sorry because there is too much of noise creeping in. If you can type in the chat box and send it, I will try to answer you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, everyone, you can mute you for yourself, and okay, everyone mute. Yes, Deepa.
Yeah, I request all of you to comment the question in the chat section and not to unmute yourself, because it's just creating a chaos and we are not able to understand the question. So it's a request that kindly just type your question in the chat section. Thank you. Continue.
Chandra, G are here.
Sir, please type your question in the chat box.
I have done that.
Okay.
I've done it long back.
Okay. Let me check that one.
बहुत मुश्किल है आज के डेट में अभी देखने का जा रहा था और उसके बाद जो थर्ड रहेगा तेरा रेंटल इनकम बस इतना भी होगा तो इससे भी बुक्स में लिखा रहता है
हाँ या दीपक Oh, I think I missed out that. Okay, TK, let me try to do that one. Okay, I have got some questions from some of the people. So I will try to answer some of them here. So one is that I'm seeing, can you please share the PowerPoint later? Yes, I think our team can share this later. Can you quantify the cost benefits of PEG in terms of rupees than general statement? This can be very specific question here. We cannot answer it in a very generic way. So I think Prakash Rao has put this. You can probably touch base us later where we can help you out to give the where we can help you out to give the answer for you. We cannot generalize it. So that's the answer for it here. Okay, so the next one is, does the PEG need empowerment? The answer is yes, they require to have the empowerment, no doubt about that. There should not be even a second thought about that, because without PEG getting empowerment and the powers for them to execute, no PEG group will be able to do the transformation in any organization. You can take it from me. Okay. Now, what tools for PEG? How to involve senior management to PEG? Now, what tools for PEG? Now, PEG can, okay, let me answer this tools over here. Now, there are various tools that it is available in your market there. Now, some companies, they try to build that one for themselves there. Like I had built something on my own for one of my organization. It was called as Idea there. Now, some companies, they use this WordPress and PHP, they build this tool for themselves, and then they house this quality management system. Now, some companies, they like to purchase it from the external parties and then to do that one. Like Zoho is one company that where they have number of tools there. Now, we also have a quality management tools there where you can take it up there. So these are some of the tools that the PEG can do that one. And in fact, they also can take any of the project management tools to monitor all the process improvement activities for their projects. So these tools you can think about and you can look upon here. Now, how to involve senior management to PEG? Now, the first thing is that you have to build a good rapport with this senior management team here. So you have to involve them at right kind of moment for the right kind of activity. For example, as I told you in the presentation also, when you want to get do some kind of decision within your meeting, and also when you want some finance to be approved over here, you pull your senior management people, present it the showcase here, and then tell them this is how I want to do that one. This is my plan. This is my roadmap here, and this is how I want to execute that one. Buy that consensus and then get their approval here. So which means that you will have to see that you keep them involved all the times and then pull them at right period of time for them to give the necessary approvals and do the review activities with them here. So this is one way that you can involve your senior management people. Okay, the next question it says is, I have one question now that we are L3 in services, what should be the approach to work towards reaching L5? I mean, some set of activities we should start with. Yes, wonderful. So this company is a L3 and then they want to go for L5. Now this PEG group, definitely this plays a very big role over here. Now, first of all, you need to identify some kind of statistical tools that you need to bring into the organization. Number one. Second thing is that you need to ensure that certain set of the people are being trained on this Six Sigma tools or the statistical tools over here. Remember that L4 and L5 are all having this statistical part and then the innovation part. So you will have to give the right kind of knowledge over here for the set of the people, and then identify certain set of the statistical tools or innovation tools, or build your own innovation tools over here, and then you have to do that. And then define the metrics to the next level in the quantitative manner. Okay. When I say quantitative manner, it is the number game, because up to level 2, you were seeing that it was having bare minimum metrics over there, but come to level 4, it is all quantitatively derived over here. So you should derive that one. So these 1, 2, 3 steps are really important for the PEG group to do that one, for you to really put your pedal on for your level 5 achievement. This is in a short, I can tell you that. Okay. Which is the good forum or site to study the latest external market and keep ourselves updated? Well, you have a lot of materials that are available in the Google. If you Google that one, you can find out that. Even I happen to read some of the articles over here, wherein some people, they have written that one, how successfully they are trying, happen to transform the organizations from what you call the low maturity process to the high maturity processes there. How they are able to convert from people oriented to the process oriented there. So they have written some nice article. LinkedIn and Google are some of the sites where you can look upon to search and then find out some good related articles. You can download that, and then if it is freely available, you can download and then do, or if it is something that paid version, you can take that and then you can read that. I did the same 3 months back there. I wanted to study some articles, I did that. So LinkedIn, Googling are the 2 things which I can suggest for you. The next one, should there be a MOM for PEG? Yes, there should be a minutes of meeting for PEG. What is the frequency of PEG meet? Now, there is no thumb rule again over here, as I told you there, but if you are going for the first time, I would suggest that one recommended one is go at least monthly once. Then after that, probably you can put it as a 3 months once or 6 months once, depending upon how the process has matured within the organization and how many times you will have to probably sit down and then do for yourself. So to begin with, have monthly once, and after that you can have 3 months once or 6 months once. That is the answer. Next, SOR. Is employee assessment part of PEG activity? No. The answer is no. Guidance for level 3 to level 5 journey for dev service. Okay, let me try to understand this. Guidance for level 3 to level 5 journey for development and SVC. I think I just addressed it for one of the thing where one organization was L3 and then they want to go through. I think I'm seeing similar kind of question, and the answer is similar to that. If it is something different question to you, you can write to us. We will answer to you. Okay, next is there any study on the budget of PEG versus benefits in terms of percentage? This comes with a lot of experienced people where they have written some articles there. You will have to do a lot of research on this cost and benefits. I just kept it to bare minimum because some of the things are confidential. They did not wanted to share that. Only on the kind of a where we have experienced with certain organization, and that too I put in terms of the percentage only, not in terms of definite numbers. So you will not get it straight away. That's the answer for this. Who should be the PEG head? I think I showed you the slide over here, qualification criteria. Whoever is going to fit into that bucket, they can be made as a PEG head. Next, are there any certification or you can suggest some trainings on learning statistical tool? Yes, you can take it up, the Six Sigma green belt or black belt. So that can really definitely help you to learn the statistical tool on that. That's the answer. The next question is, do we need to be part of the process improvement network spin? Oops, I could not understand this. Let me try to read it once again. Do we need to be part of the process improvement network spin? Okay, now spin is a kind of activity which is run in different cities like Mumbai, Hyderabad and Bangalore. I think this is what I am trying to understand that. If your question is, if you want to be part of that spin there, yes, definitely you can be part of the spins where definitely you will get a lot of insights on how different organizations are doing different kind of activity. That's the answer. And what is that? In CMMI v2.0, QPPO derivation and PPP creation of project level or org level. In CMMI v2.0, QPPO derivation and PPP and PM or project level. See, it comes at both project level and organization level. That is, in short, I can answer you that. But if you are looking at anything in specific there, you please write to us. We can definitely give you the right kind of answer for your specific question. The next question, how to add value, how to value add PEG to project? Oh, definitely you can do that. I have given you in all my slides here how you can do the transformation from PEG group and take your project teams there. You can be the enablers, you can be the drivers, you can lead by the example by not only defining the process, by ensuring that these practices are taking place, or in fact, you can sit with the people and then make them do this activity. If you want, I can quote one example where I was doing in 2010. I not only defined, modified, did everything. I also sat with the project team. In fact, I also sat and then wrote the project plans for them there. So you have to set an example. You have to lead by example where you can take this project team and support him there. That is where definitely you can give a value addition for the company. Okay. So the next is, how do we estimate ROI? This is the different ball game there. You can write to us here, rate of return of interest. That is what they are trying to ask, that one. So it's outside this scope here. You can write to us. We can help you out in answering that. Next, does PEG need to be audited? Yes, sir. Definitely it needs to be audited. You can get audited by your internal team. Only Six Sigma is enough to be a PEG member? No. It is not only the Six Sigma. As I told you, the criteria. So you should be knowing the quality framework, different process models. You should have an excellent soft skills in terms of interpersonal communication, passion-driven, enthusiastic. So all this combination of it will be good enough for you to push into the PEG group here. So that's my answer here. Okay. Can you please suggest some certification for PEG member? Well, there is no exact certification to say that when you are a PEG member or anything here. It comes from different certification which you do. Like I answered in the previously there, even you can do the study on your ISO standards there, you can do on the Six Sigma models, you can do on the CMM models. Combination of all these things will make you know that one, what are the frameworks it is available, what are the different process models that is available for you, that will put you in a great shape to become you as a PEG member. So in short, there is no one-liner, exact certification. Okay, you do this certification, you will become a SCPG member. There is no such. So it's all the side certificates that you have to do, which can fit into a functional report called your PEG. Next, minimum time to migrate from V1.3 to 2.0. Okay, there is no straight cut answer for this year without even knowing how many number of project, what is the team size or etc. over here. Okay, roughly around on a, if I want to really tell by my experience, it is something that you can put around 6 months as a on average there. Now it can be even probably 1 month lesser or more than that 6 months there. It all depends on number of the project, number of the team size that you are having, and what kind of process that you have set up into it, how consistently you have followed after achieving L3 or L2. Okay, and from 1.3 to 2.0, if you want to migrate that one, if I want to say that one, roughly in between 4 to 6 months, that's my answer. Okay, so what is it? Right. Okay, I will take some questions for another 2 minutes, and then after that I can end it. The next question is, can a PEG member take CMMI associate exam for V 2.0? 100% go ahead and then take it. Next, is V 2.0 more related to agile projects? Oh, okay, it's a very interesting question. The answer for this is, in V 2.0, they have given specific context on the agile part also. In the model book, they have given for agile kind of methodologies which is used, how the implementation can take place. They have given the guideline in that. So definitely it has some relevance over here. So that's the answer for this last question. I think I've answered to the most of it there. If you have any questions, further questions on this, if you want to know anything about this here, please write to us, please reach to us here, and then allow some time, and then we'll assure you that we'll get back to you with the right kind of answers. So that is all what I wanted to say here. So now let me go back to my slide here. Deepa, you want to take up this slide here? Okay, fine. So you can reach us at this email ID, and then you can reach us on thing. If you write to us, if you are having any specific queries about your organization, what to do, what is this PAG, etc., those kind of stuff there, we'll be glad to revert you back. Now, finally, I want to thank you all for your valuable time that you have taken out of your busy schedule and then come and join for this session. I hope that it was helpful and productive, so that you will be in a better frame of mind when you want to take it forward to your respective organization and do for yourself. I wish you good luck, everyone, and then take care in this COVID-19 situation. Stay safe, stay home, and take care, everyone. Thank you, one and all.